guys, welcome to Modern Crafting. This week's project is an animal hanger. You can use this to hang your keys on or other lightweight items. We're going to use 3 plastic animals that we're going to cut up and paint, and we are going to stick them onto a piece of wood. We're going to glue them on there and make a really cool project. All right. This is one that I did last year where we actually used the butts of the animals. This one did not hold anything up very well, unlike the elephants with the long trunks. So we're going to stick with elephants here. First thing you're going to do is cut the tag off, and you're just going to go ahead and repeat that with the other elephants. Now we're going to take the elephant and we're going to cut it down the middle, and we're going to be very careful. Of course, we're going to put our glove on first so that we don't have any unfortunate accidents with our sharp tools. And once you get that all fastened on, you are going to use something to cut your elephant. If you have an x-acto knife, that actually works pretty well. They're very sharp, so you want to be super careful because my husband actually cut himself badly one time. Also, you can use a utility knife. They have this size and they also have larger ones if you have one of those. These saws work fantastic. They're from Dollar Tree and they work surprisingly well. Or we have good old-fashioned scissors, which a lot of people might just already have sitting around. So I'm going to first demonstrate how to do it with the scissors. I would definitely say this is the more difficult way to do it because it just takes more time and more strength. So you'll have to bear with me. We're going to just cut along the middle there and keep the front legs and the head. I recommend taking the scissors and trying to get a hole in the top and of the elephant, and that'll get a hole started so that you can actually get the scissors in there to cut through the plastic. The plastic itself isn't actually too difficult to cut through. There's your hole. It's just the shape of the elephant makes it a little difficult to cut because it's not a flat piece of plastic. Once you get a hole, you can get your scissors in there and kind of jam one side of them in. Be very careful with your hand that is holding the animal. And then you can just start, you're basically gnawing through it. Here it is sped up because I didn't figure you wanted to watch me cut that for 10 straight minutes or however many minutes it took. Okay. Now I've got some needle nose pliers and I'm just trying to pull it apart, work it apart, open it up to make it easier for the scissors to get in there. And tug, tug, tug. That's really fast, huh? All right, so we're cutting and pulling and you just keep working the process. Honestly, if we were in a classroom, I'd have lots of these other tools that make it easier. But if you're at home, just using scissors, it is going to take a little bit of brute strength and time to get that cut open. Once you get it 3/4 of the way, it's not too bad. And then you just get that last little bit and just chop it right off. Boom. All right, now you've got 2 halves. And we're going to keep the top half with the trunk because that's going to make a great hanger. The bottom half does not make a great hanger because everything slips off. So you'll want to try and get that straight there so that it's going to lay flush onto your board. So if it doesn't lay flat, you might have to trim off some excess with your scissors in case there's any like little chunks that are sticking up. But once you get it flat, then you can move on to your next animal. That is nice and flush, so that one works. Okay, perfect. Moving on. Okay, so, oh, nope, I'm not moving on. I'm still cutting. Okay, there we go. Now we got it. Okay, now we're moving on. Okay, next elephant. So this one I'm going to demonstrate with the saw. And it actually cuts like butter. Although you can see it is rattling the entire table and the camera. And eventually the camera fell off and went flying onto the ground. So I recommend not cutting in the air like I just did, but the camera kept falling. So look how nice that was. Super fast, went right through it. Definitely worth the $1. Not everything at Dollar Tree is fantastic, but oddly enough, that saw is. So highly recommend. And just trimming off the edges, making sure it's nice and straight so it's going to sit flush. Boom. Okie doke. So now those are pretty close. You want to get them sort of close so that you don't have one that has more body length than the others, or it's going to stick out more. Okay, this is with the X-acto knife. Again, please be careful if you're using one of these. We ended up with a hospital stay and some surgery after my husband's project went awry with one of these devices. So definitely have a gloved hand, and even with that, be very, very careful and slow. So this took less time than the scissors, but more time than the saw. So, but it definitely cut through smoother than the scissors did. And then I just finished it off with the scissors there to separate it. And there we go. Okay, that one I cut a little too close to the head. The X-acto knife was a little harder to control, so that one's a little bit shorter, but it'll be okay. We'll live. All right, now we are moving on. Okay, so we are going to paint this. You can paint it any color you like. You can leave it just the natural color. You can stain it. You can mix your paints up, paint it whatever. I'm just painting this one black to show you how I did the original sample. So obviously cover it in black paint. That's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, and then right there, I was filling up any little like divots to make sure that the paint got in and there weren't any spots where the paint wasn't covering it. So I left the sides with the natural wood. I'm really into the look of black and natural wood right now. So that's my current phase. Okay, this is, I'm mixing up primary colors with white and showing you how to make that kind of cream beige color that I made those elephants. So take lots of white, and then you're going to add a little bit of yellow, a little bit of red, and a little bit of blue. And by little, I mean a little, probably a little more of the yellow. Unfortunately, the light is shining on the plate, so it's a little hard to see. But we're talking like a couple of drops of blue. And I put it off to the side and then kind of drag it in, because if you get too much directly into your pile of white paint, then you have to add lots more white paint, and pretty soon you have a massive amount of paint. So try and make enough if you're going to color them all the same. See, those are the amounts there. Oh, I paused it for you. Okay, so try and make enough that you won't run out of paint and have to remix the color. Though it is possible, it is a pain to try and get an exact match when you're doing it like this on a second round. So I recommend however much you're going to use, try and make enough. So you'll see by the amount I have here when I'm done. Oh, here's a color chart. I will include this in the email so that you can check this out. These are all over the internet too. You can look at different color charts. You might even have one at home. It kind of gives you some tips on how to make different colors out of primary colors. So just add a little red, a little blue, mix the yellow, and there's our color. It's really hard to tell because of the glare, but it is a match. So I guess you have to take my word for it. Okay, so now we're going to grab our elephants and paint them. It will probably take you 2 coats if you're using a light color like this. I highly recommend not doing a big, thick toothpaste type of thickness of paint on there, because it will never ever dry and be sticky and gross. So do a thin coat, wait for it to dry, and then do another thin coat. I know it's hard to be patient waiting for paint to dry, but you will thank me in the end. Okay, paint that one up and then set it down somewhere to dry. Probably take at least a half an hour to dry or so. So you can go and take a little break. I'm doing a little touch up, a little second coat on here while I'm waiting. Oh, and I did all 3, by the way. I fast forwarded through that because it was basically the exact same procedure for all 3, and it would have been super boring to watch it in real time. So now I've got my 3 painted, and I'm doing a second coat of the black so it's nice and even. And I took a break for a while to wait for all the paint to dry. Now I'm back. Hello. Okay. Doing a little second coat on these guys, touching them up, making sure I haven't missed any spots. So if you do a darker or brighter color on your animals, you may not have to do a second coat, but that dark gray elephant with the light paint, it's pretty easy for it to show through. So I guess I already did my second coat, so I was touching up. Okay. Jumping ahead, the board is ready. Now we're going to glue. Your board is 16 inches long, so that would make the center 8 inches. So if you want these to be perfectly centered, you're going to want the middle of your center elephant to be right on the 8-inch line. And then, theoretically, you will want your other elephants to sit the middle of the elephant on the 4-inch line and on the 12-inch line. But I recommend as you're putting them down that you lay them out and measure between them. Make sure you've got an equal distance from the edges. Make sure you've got an equal distance between the elephants. So this one here, I set it down a little off center and had to rip it off and redo it off camera. So it was like a 1/2 inch off, unfortunately. So, and that was after he stuck. I had to rip him off. So if you make a mistake and rip it off, you'll probably take some of the paint off, so you'll have to touch up the paint. So it's a lot easier. Just get on the first try. So there I am properly measuring it now, making sure that it's even. Okay. Okay, so I'm also measuring from the top to make sure that they are the same distance from the top. Otherwise, it can get a little wonky and they can be off. So I set these ones down first to kind of get an idea of where they need to be so that everything is even before the glue hits it, which is always a good idea. And taking the ruler, measuring same distance from that elephant as it is from that elephant, and between the elephants. Okay. And I just moved it. Hopefully I'll get it back in the right spot. Okay, so put some glue. The hot glue works surprisingly well. Sometimes hot glue can be not your friend and can end up coming off, but the gluing the animals to the wood, as long as you don't put like a heavy backpack full of textbooks on these, you should be okay with lightweight things. So this will create a lot of annoying strings that will get all over you also. Okay, setting that one down, getting it even. Try not to move it once you've got it glued down, because then you're going to have glue smeared everywhere. It does dry clear, which is good, but it leaves, you can see like the clear shiny sheen of it. So you can always go back afterwards and just carefully with a small paintbrush paint over the glue if you don't like being able to see the clear glue, and then it'll just blend right in with whatever colors you're using. The glue gun's a little tough to get there under their legs, but I would go back around like this and just do an extra layer of glue. And that way you know that these will not be going anywhere and that they will be nice and secure. Okay, just getting a little bit extra in there, making sure that I didn't miss any spots so that they are glued down well. All right. A little more. Never can have too much glue. Okay, now we got it. Okay, look at that. Perfect. Okay, now we are ready to put hangers on it. These are your little hangers. You're going to want to use both of them and put them evenly apart so that your shelf or your little hanger will stay straight when you hang stuff on it. I recommend you use a ruler, and you're going to want to mark 4 inches in from each end so that they are evenly spread so that it's not lopsided. And that way it'll hang straight, and then when you put stuff on it and hang stuff from it, it will continue to remain straight. If you were to only put one little hook in the middle, as soon as you hang something on the right or left elephant, your thing would tip that direction and not stay straight. So that's why we're doing 2. Just make a little pencil mark. Oh, in the right spot. Always mark it in the right spot. Okay, there we go. All right. So 4 inches on either end. Now we know that they're going to be evenly spread. And there's a triangle end, that's the hangy end. And then the flat end with the little hole in it, we would normally nail in, but on this we're going to glue it. And we're just going to take our glue gun, just put a nice big blob of glue there. And then put that right on top. You'll be able to see on the hanger there's like a top side and a bottom side. You can tell by looking at it. And just put it down. It really wouldn't make all the difference in the world if you glued it on the wrong side because it would still hang, but okay, so stick that on there, super simple. I keep the triangles on mine above the animal hanger, above the project. I don't mind seeing those little triangles on there, but you could glue the bottom part. You could glue them lower down if you didn't want to see the triangles, but don't glue the actual triangle part. See how that is? So I just glued that right on there, and then the triangle sticks up. Alrighty, looking good. Okay, so now it's ready to hang, and you have an awesome new project, and all your friends and family will be totally impressed with your mad crafting skills again. That's it. Enjoy your amazing hanger and have a great week. Yay, you did it. Good job, everybody.